Showtime, folks.
As former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton slams voters who are upset over a presidential election rematch between Trump and Biden. Cheryl, I love the way she says Juan is facing 91 counts. That is the whole point. And that is what Trump supporters believe as well, that it is all political. The whole point of all of these indictments and these charges is so that she could say just what she said.
Interesting.
He's facing 91 counts. How could you vote for someone who is facing all these indictments?
It's what she didn't say. Basically, she's telling voters, don't think. Don't pay attention for yourselves. Just listen to me. Here's your two choices. It's not that simple. It's about the economy. It's about the border. It's about safety, security, so many things that are happening in this nation.
I agree with her, dude.
And, people are going to go to the voting booths in November, and they're going to make their choice. And just because Hillary Clinton tells them who to pick doesn't mean that that's what they're going to do. Remember, she did run for president, Maria, and she didn't exactly win.
Yeah.
So
yeah, she did come up with that whole Russia collusion nonsense, which divided and ripped our country apart. Thomas, your thoughts on Hillary Clinton weighing in here?
Well, it was quite a strange appearance. I mean, she originally came out wearing what people on Twitter are calling a witch's hat. So we're not quite sure what she was up to there. But it's interesting, one of the most interesting things about this campaign is if you look back in 2016 and 2020, there were scores of celebrities willing to come out and back Hillary and back Biden. There's no one this time. It is only Bill and Hillary and Obama by the sounds of it. So they seem to be struggling for these celebrity endorsements. If you think before, Beyonce was out there, Taylor Swift were out there, they're all cheering them on. No one is backing Biden, so she's the best they've got.
Thomas, no word on all those millions that the Biden family, including Joe Biden, have taken in from foreign adversaries, according to the House Oversight Committee, either.
No, of course, and there have been so many different sources that it's come from. And my question always is, can you imagine if this had been Trump or even any of Trump's family that had done anything close to this? It would be outrage.
Yeah, that's true.
I think if Ivanka got a speeding ticket, people would go crazy. But, Hunter gets away with all of these things.
Yeah, Mark Tepper.
She implied that Biden's old and effective, and I would say he's been anything but effective. And if you look at, there was a New York Times Siena College poll that came out maybe a week or so ago that said that only 18% of people think that Biden's policies have helped them, while 43% believe Biden's policies have hurt them. And look, I mean, you can see that all the way across his policies, economic policies. Housing's unaffordable. You've got a record number of people working multiple jobs, part-time jobs, just to make ends meet.
That is bad news.
You've got rising crime. You've got disasters at the border. You've got issues overseas. So he's been anything but effective.
Yeah, great point. Effective. Effective at what, right?
I don't know.
Liz, your reaction. We've watched the Democrats spend trillions on Joe Biden's watch, and now there are more.
Yeah, and there's no end to it, Maria. That's the scary thing. I think when you look out, the CBO and other organizations project $2+ trillion deficits going forward pretty much forever.
Which is not good.
And there is no will in Congress to cut this back. When I talk to groups, I liken it to during COVID, a pig went into the cobra. It should have had a big bulge or a python or whatever, and then it should have gone back to normal. It never did, and that is because of Democrats that basically spent $1.9 trillion in the American Rescue Pact.
That is a lot of money.
And then kept going after that with the Inflation Reduction Act, et cetera. It's unconscionable, and it's basically buying votes. That's what it comes down to, whether it's earmarks or basically the regular budget process.
And forgiving all that student debt.
Yeah, it never ends. I mean, they just want more and more and more. Big government, big unions, whatever. That's the Joe Biden magic cure, I guess, or something.
Cheryl.
Well, look, inflation has gone up 18% under Joe Biden's watch, and that is because of the fiscal disaster that has been the U.S. government since 2020. And so, look, Americans they're going to vote in November, and whether they vote against these earmarks and there's any retribution for the likes of Bernie Sanders or anybody else that gets called out, I hate to say I doubt it, but, these pork projects. Every year we go through this, and every year it's offensive.
Luke, your thoughts?
Yeah, so I would be offended if I was a minority, because a lot of this spending is race-based funding for minorities, either the black community or Latinos, for the immigrants, migration across the border. The reason I would be offended is because it's basically saying that you are not capable of succeeding by yourself without the government interfering to help. So that's one thing that really would irritate me if I was a minority voter coming up this election.
I agree with him.
Joining me now is Ohio Congressman Warren Davidson, a member of the House Financial Services Committee and the task force to combat Mexican drug cartels. Congressman, can you explain to us what the heck is going on?
Yeah, Joe Biden changed his policies, the policies that were working, and facilitated an invasion of our country, and we haven't been able to make everybody to turn it off. This is showing up in my county. I live in Ohio, southwest Ohio, just outside of Cincinnati, and one of my county sheriffs was just doing a press conference at the end of the week last week. In this past year, he's had almost 1,000 detentions. He's had one guy in his jail 11 times under 7 different names. This kind of stuff is killing about 200 people in that county a year. Fentanyl around our country. Fentanyl is the leading cause of death for 18 to 45-year-olds. This is a disaster, but it's a preventable one if we simply change the policies that were working before. They weren't working perfectly, but they were directionally the right policies.
Yeah, that's true.
And it isn't going to take more people to process more fugitives into our country faster. It's going to take policies that actually change what you do once they're here, like detaining them.
I'm interested in how the Communist Party of China is involved in all of this, because I continue to hear various Congress people telling me that the CCP is working with the Mexican drug cartels.
Oh, really?
And they are pushing drugs into America and then setting up stash houses and human trafficking houses here in America.
Yeah, so the Chinese Communist Party sells the precursor drugs that fentanyl is processed from. And so those drugs are supplied to the cartels. Wow. And the Chinese Communist Party, not so much the party itself, but the criminal gangs and essentially the Chinese mafia launders the money for the cartels. I mean, so a lot of the money laundering operation used to be like a heavy commission coming across people that were taking risks doing it.
Very interesting.
But the demand for currency in China, outside of China's system, is so great that they're eating all the fees. So basically the cartels are getting their money laundered for, either free or, single, 2-3%, which is a small take, used to be like 20%. So the Chinese Communist Party, to the extent they could do something about controlling their criminal elements, they could certainly be helpful.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.